Hello there. Hope you all are doing well. Welcome to our channel, Ace Knowledge Hub, a virtual place to hang out for gaining knowledge. If you like our content, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe us.
Ecotone, edge effects, ecological habitats, and niche. Ecotone. Ecotone is a transition between two or more diverse communities, such as a forest and grassland or a soft-bottom marine community. Ecotones can be viewed as zones where spatial or temporal rates of change in ecological structure or function are rapid relative to rates across the landscape as a whole. A broad definition states that an ecotone is a zone of transition between adjacent ecological systems having a set of characteristics uniquely defined by space and time scales and by strength of interactions between adjacent ecological systems. In terms of system dynamics, ecotones are locations where the rate of ecological transfers, example, energy flow, nutrient exchange, change abruptly in relation to those within the homogeneous units on either side. The common examples of ecotone are following: the border between forest and grassland, the bank of a stream running through a meadow, or between a soft bottom and hard bottom marine community. It is a junction or tension belt that may have considerable linear extent but is narrower than the adjoining community areas themselves. Usually, an ecotonal community contains many organisms from each of the overlapping communities, in addition to organisms characteristic of and often restricted to the ecotone. They may also be considered a habitat of greater genetic diversity and serve as bridges of gene flow from one population to another. The number of species and population density of some of the species are often greater in the ecotone than in the adjacent communities. They often experience influx from animals looking to nest or searching for food. Ecotone act as buffer zone protecting the neighboring ecosystem from possible environmental damage, that is, a wetland area could absorb pollutants preventing them from seeping into a river or estuary. Riparian zones. Riparian zones are the areas bordering rivers and other bodies of surface water. They include the floodplain as well as the riparian buffers adjacent to the floodplain. Groundwater is usually found at shallower depths in riparian zones than in the surrounding landscape. By acting as buffers between upland areas and open water, they help filter pollutants such as nutrients and sediments. Healthy riparian vegetation helps to reduce stream bank erosion and maintain stable stream channel geomorphology. Edge effect. The potential for the ecotone to act as habitat for species found in neither major community is termed as edge effect. They act as the junction between two dissimilar habitat types or successional stages. A common example of the edge effect in action can be seen in those species of owl that live in or near ecotones between forests and grasslands. They depend on forest trees for nesting and they do their hunting in the grassland, where they depend on field rodents for food. In man-made communities such as agricultural fields, the transition zone, that is ecotone, between the field and the forest may act as a refuge for animals formerly found in the plowed areas as well as for other plants such as weeds. Edge species refers to the organism occurring primarily or most abundantly in junctional communities. Many game species are more abundant near edges. Edge effects are ecological characteristics associated with this junction that positively or negatively affect species living there. Edge effects are generally negative for neotropical migrants that prefer or require forest interior habitats. Edge effects reduce the quality of habitat within fragments for these species. Several species of mammalian and avian nest predators are more abundant along the forest edge than in the forest interior. High rates of brood parasitism are observed in forest edges when compared to forest interiors. Edges influence communities through several mechanisms. They act as dispersal barriers or filters, impose mortality, create spatial subsidies, obligate edge crossing, and give rise to novel interactions, especially in the case of invading species. Ecological habitats. The habitat of a species is described as the totality of abiotic factors to which the species is exposed in this area. Thus, one can talk of marine habitats, coastal habitats, marsh habitats, forest habitats, disturbed habitats, or even dry habitats. In many cases, however, the habitat of the species is highly specialized. Certain species of leaf miners, for example, live only in the upper photosynthetic layer of the leaves of certain species of plants, while other species live in the lower layer of the cell. These patterns of location are so consistent that it is clear that the habitats of the species are different. Subdivisions of the environment on this scale are commonly called microhabitats. The specific environmental variables in the microhabitat of a population is called microenvironment or the microclimate. Hence, we can say that habitat is the address of the organism and niche is its profession. Coming to ecological niche, the term niche was for the first time used by Joseph Grinnell in 1971. According to him, niche is the ultimate distributional unit within which each species is held by its structural and instinctive limitations. No two species in the same general territory can occupy for long identically the same ecological niche. The ecological niche is the property of the community and it represents the place of the species in the formal community structure. Ecological niche involves the physical space occupied by an organism, its functional role in the community, that is, trophic position occupied, and its position in environmental gradients, including other conditions of existence. These three aspects of ecological niche are generally designated as the spatial or habitat niche, the physical space occupied, the trophic niche, that is, the functional role of trophic position, the multidimensional or hypervolume niche, that is the position in the environmental gradients. Firstly, talking about spatial or habitat niche, this type of niche pertains to the physical space occupied by an organism. Example, distribution of 7 species of millipedes in the forest floor of maple oak forest. All the 7 species occur in the same general habitat, that is, forest floor, and all belong to the same basic trophic level. That is, all are decomposers in their role as detrivores. Each species of millipedes predominates in its own specific different microhabitat. There exist several gradients in the decomposition stage from the center of the log to position underneath the leaf litter, and these gradients constitute distinct microhabitats in the same general habitat, the forest floor. Thus, Euryurus erythropygus predominates in the heartwood at center of logs, Pseudopolydesmus serratus in superficial wood of logs, Narcissus americanus in the outer surface of the logs beneath the bark, Cytonotus granulatus under log but on the log surface, Fonteria virginiensis under the log but on ground surface, Cladogonia casioannularis within leaves of litter, and Abasion lacterium beneath litter on ground surface. Coming to the trophic niche, in this case, 2 species live in the same habitat but they occupy different trophic niches because of the difference in food habits. For example, 2 aquatic bugs, Notonecta and Coryxa, live in the same pond but occupy different trophic niches. Notonecta is an active predator that swims about grasping and eating other animals, but Coryxa feeds mainly on decaying vegetation. Lastly, the multidimensional or hypervolume niche. In this concept, niche is considered as an abstract, n-dimensional, inhabited hypervolume. It was developed by G. E. Hutchinson in 1965 of Yale University. Suppose that we measure the range of some environmental factor, for example, temperature, over which a particular species can live and reproduce, in effect its range of tolerance, and we put this on a graph, and we do the same for another environmental factor, that is humidity, and put this on the second axis of the graph. The space that is enclosed will represent the niche of the species. If the effects of 2 variables or factors, that is temperature and humidity, are independent, the space would be 2-dimensional box. However, in fact, temperature and relative humidity are not independent in their biological effects. Thus, tolerance to higher temperature may be related with increase in relative humidity. Under such condition of interacting variables or factors, the niche, instead of being the box-like, would be an oval in shape. Now suppose that the tolerance to levels of a third factor, that is available phosphorus, was affected by interactions with both temperature and relative humidity. We would now have a niche representing 3 variables or 3-dimensional volumetric figure. If there is present a 4th variable, the space enclosed would be a hypervolume with 4 dimensions. Since there are large number n of other environmental factors, both abiotic and biotic, that affect the population, the niche is n-dimensional hypervolume, an abstraction since one is able to draw only with respect to 3 dimensions. This is the fundamental niche of the species. When the fundamental niches of two species overlap them, the two species are competing. Competitive exclusion would be called into play only in the complete overlapping of n-dimensional niches. Thus, this concept refers to the totality of abiotic and biotic factors to which a given species is uniquely adapted. Thank you.